Yo, let's go and welcome to the video. Let's talk about trinkets. So I'm over on the PTR. That's how I have all of these in my bag. I don't actually have all of them. And there's one additional I would like to mention, but we've got our on use, Quag's Eye, Ash Tongue, Sextant, Skull, Eye of Mag, and Mark of the Champion. One trinket they did not have on the vendor is Darkmoon Card Crusade from the Blasphemous deck. I have seen this in some top 25 parses recently, but I'm not going to talk too much about this one or the Mark of the Champion. Mark is only able to be used on undead and demon bosses, and it's only 85 spell power. And the Crusade trinket, once you get all 10 stacks, is only 80 spell power. The boss I did see this on, it had a 95% uptime, so other than the first couple spells while this stacks up, if used on the right boss, it's just going to have 80 spell power. So Mark of the Champion, just going to go ahead and get rid of that. Eye of Mag I was thinking might be useful on the council fight, but the more I thought about it, the less I like it. Even if this procs, we're still going to be getting partial resists, so the 170 spell power for 10 seconds is just also going to be included in that resist. Good base spell power on it compared to the icon, but the proc chance I don't think has consistent value. So we're left with these 6 trinkets, and I will go over the first 5, not including the skull, assuming most of us don't have skull yet. And then we can talk about skull at the end. Alright, so we've got all our trinkets here. Alright, so we have all of our trinkets here. A couple of different fight lengths, which is really going to affect our choice of which trinkets that we use. There's some other factors as well. Like, do you have the tier 5 4-piece or the tier 6 4-piece? Are you getting double lust? But before we even begin, we have here the Rage Winter Chill parses for Balance Druids, and you can see there's a wide variety of pairs of trinkets here. We've got Ash Tongue with Quag, Ash Tongue with On Use, Ash Tongue with Sextant, Ash Tongue with Mark of the Champion, Ash Tongue with PvP Trinket. So as more and more people get rep, I'm seeing the Ash Tongue and a lot more of the top parses. Icon and Quag is still the most prevalent, but it's also the easiest pair to get, which could be why there's still so many of those pairs. Pipe Quag is the same thing. So the thing about the Ash Tongue Talisman is it has no internal cooldown, meaning if it procs on your first Starfire and there's no phases like on Winter Chill and you can stand and turret, you can potentially have the bonus 150 spell power for the entire fight. The downside is there's no second equip bonus like all the other trinkets have. I just got it this week. I haven't been able to use it in Hyjal just yet, but I think we can put it in the fight time for both tier 5 and tier 6. For a minute and a half or less, even if you only have 1 heroism. I'll go ahead and put it in the 2 minute as well, in case you are getting double lusted. But once we get into the 2 minute 30, 3 minute times, you don't have as much hasted cast time. It's going to make this trinket harder to keep up. So maybe if you're separating your lust, you could still use this on the 2:30, 3 minute plus fights. But it's just really going to shine in the 2 minute or less. Alright, now for the other 3 trinkets, the Quags and Sextant can both have 2 procs, with the full duration of their effect occurring within that time. And the icon, you can only have 1 use. So Quags is based off of all spells, Sextant only on spell crits. But since they can proc twice, that's good value for both. But this is also only on fights that you don't really have to move around a lot. Since it's only for 6 seconds, the Sextant you can still get a lot of value out of the proc if you do end up having to move, since it lasts for 15 seconds. So the Sextant I would only put in tier 6, since it relies on the spell crit strikes, and the set bonus is 5% extra crit. And icon, even though you can only use it once, you just have the control of when you use it. You don't have to rely on the procs. It's got the most static spell power bonus, so I would use for both sets. So for a 2 minute fight, Quag and Sextant can have 3 procs. It's not likely with their full duration if it procs early and again right off of their cooldown, which there's really only a 5-second window per proc that it has to proc it for you to get 3 full durations of these. More than likely you'll get 2. The 3 procs is going to be more consistent with a 2:30 fight, but since it has that chance and you can still only use the icon once in a 2 minute fight, I would go with Quag for both, and again Sextant just for the tier 6. You can use it in tier 5 if you've stacked enough crit, but I think the spell power from Quag is just better for the tier 5 set bonus instead of the crit chance. So for 2-minute fights, especially if you're double lusted, Ash Tongue Quag is a really good choice. So I'm actually going to add the icon. In case there's movement involved in the fight, you want to have the control of the on use and not rely on the proc and short 6-second duration that could be wasted if you need to move. If it's a fight you need to move at the tier 6, then you have the Sextant available. So the fights that are 230, your icon can now be used twice for its full 20-second duration if it's used within the first 10 seconds of the fight, and again right when it comes off cooldown. I haven't had double on use yet for any of these fights, because even at 230 you couldn't use them both twice. So let me backtrack here. If you wanted to use double on use for a minute 30 fight, we're back on Winter Chill on Warcraft logs, and actually the third highest DPS was done with double on use. So I'll go ahead and put it down here in the 3-minute fight time, which is the next time that you'll be able to use both on use trinkets twice and take advantage of the full duration of 20 seconds. So down to a 2-minute 30 fight. Ash Tongue's still an option, just has the potential to fall off. So at 2.5 minutes, Quag and Sextant can still only have 3 procs. It's more likely 2 than a 2-minute fight, so we can have the Sextant again in the tier 6. And the on use has really high value since you can use it twice. So for tier 5, I would use icon Quag. For tier 4, if you have to move, the Sextant icon. Stationary, you can kind of pick or choose. And at 3 minutes, Quag and Sextant can now have 4 procs with their full duration. Icon still only twice, but you can double on use if you want. So kind of the same options as the 230 fight, we're just adding the double on use into there with it. So before we even talk about Skull, really on any boss you go to, regardless of fight length, there's a wide variety of pairs of trinkets. Maybe there's just not enough data, since not everybody has access to all of these trinkets yet. People are getting different buffs. Some are getting double heroism, some are getting a power infusion too, some heroism and a power infusion. Take all of this with a grain of salt. Now onto the Skull. So just looking back at the Supremus top parses, you can see Skull is paired with Sextant and Quag's Eye quite often. As you scroll down, I don't really see it paired with anything else. As I say that, Drew Dunn with the 99th has it with an on use. With his 2-minute 41-second kill time, he was able to get 2 uses in, but only able to use 10 seconds of the second Skull. So under that 3-minute fight time, still able to make use of a double on use. You cannot use both at the same time, but the Skull you can pretty much substitute in for the icon in all of these situations. Maybe pair it with Ash Tongue for the 2-minute, 1-minute 30 fights, but once you get longer than 2 minutes, drop Ash Tongue and only pair it with Quag or Sextant. And if you're like me and you're holding on to your tier 5, maybe just the Skull Quag, but tier 6 is kind of your choice. So that's all for this video. I know it was a lot of info, kind of jumbled around. If you ever have any questions of what to use on what fight, hop on Warcraft logs, look up the boss, find someone that has your same kill time, and then check out for what buffs they might have got, what gear they're using, and if that matches what you're doing, they'll try that pair of trinkets. You could do the same thing for the overall runs. If you're not worried about switching trinkets every single fight for every boss for different lengths, check out what people have been using for the entire run. Most people, I think, don't change their trinkets fight to fight, especially if you've got Skull. So maybe in Hyjal, you're using Ash Tongue with Skull since it's shorter fights, and then switching it up Sextant or Quag with Skull and Black Temple. But if you've got a pair of trinkets that you really like for a certain boss fight, post your kill time, post the trinkets, post your tier set bonus, all that good stuff in the comment so other people have something to compare to. And I'll see you in the next one.